Thanks for joining me on this lovely day.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, you've been coming to Hell City for a long time?
Yeah, I was even at the very first Hell City show, and been here many years, even in Arizona a few years, and one of the best tattoo conventions in the world, in my experience, anyway.
What's your favorite part about this convention?
I think it's the fact that Derb gives so much for the general public to do and see between the art gallery, the Hex City stuff for the kids, all the cool like circus banners, all that sort of stuff. But there's just a lot for people to wander around and do all the different vendors and stuff. And it's one of the most tightest run tattoo conventions. Him and his crew,
like a machine.
Yeah, him and his crew really have it down really well. Yeah.
So, well, let's talk a little bit about you. You've been tattooing 25 years
Yeah,
now?
yeah. February marked 25 years since I started tattooing, and
wow. Did you ever think you'd be in it 25 years later?
Yeah, back then I don't know that I gave it that much thought into the future, but I'm very fortunate and thankful for having the opportunity to be part of this industry, and it's afforded me all sorts of fun experiences and luxuries that most people don't have. I get to travel around the world and do tattoos, and use it as a tax write-off at the same time, and it's quite nice industry to be in for sure.
So, how did you get into the tattoo world? You started as an artist, right? You were an airbrush artist.
Yeah, I did some airbrush. Not necessarily for a living. It was more on the side, doing stuff for friends' bands and things like that. I was a diesel mechanic prior to being a tattoo artist for a few years, and I started when my friends and I all came of age to start getting tattooed. Some people thought that, you'd make a great tattoo artist, and at the time, I thought, that'd be another interesting art medium to try out, maybe make a couple extra bucks. At the time, I didn't even realize you could make a living doing tattoos. I was making a good living as a truck mechanic at the time.
Were you tattooed at that time? Had you been getting tattoos at that time?
I had a couple tattoos at that point, yeah. And, it looked like something that, I could probably manage, and, managed to buy one of the starter kits from Huck Spalding out of the back of the tattoo magazines back then, and this was in 1990.
It's amazing how many artists that I've talked to that have been tattooing for as long as you have started with that same that kit out of the back of the tattoo magazine.
Back then that's about all that there was that was accessible to us. The internet didn't exist, eBay didn't exist, right. China wasn't knocking everything off for pennies like they do now. So a lot of changes have come in the last 25 years for sure. But I started set up a little scratcher studio in the attic of my house and was tattooing people then. It wasn't half the a fraction of the shops that are around now. And
what was the tattoo culture like where you were at that time?
I was in Chicago, and even still today, the Chicago area tattooers aren't typically friendly with one another. These days it's probably gotten a lot better, and the quality of the artists have gotten a lot better as well. But back in the day, it was pretty old school mentality. A lot of biker run shops and stuff, and if you opened up down the street from them, you may have found that your place blew up or got caught on fire and different things.
Did you have any first-hand experiences with the not so friendly?
Yeah, I've had many first-hand experiences with that. One of the first tattoo conventions that I ever did on my own. My old boss had somebody come up and whack me upside the head in the middle of the convention, gave me 40 stitches in the head. I've been pipe bombed, attempted arson, broken windows, all that kind of, paying your dues kind of stuff in this industry. So, there's not a whole lot of that stuff that happens in the industry these days, I don't think. Things have gotten a lot friendlier.
You don't hear too much about that anymore.
And it's a lot harder to get away with things with everything being videotaped everywhere, so it's difficult to get away with things from a legal aspect. So, and a lot of the newer artists in the industry in the last 10, 15 years are just much friendlier, nicer people, and a lot less of the biker mentality that used to be prevalent in the tattoo industry.
Do you miss any of that kind of like rough and tumbley kind of gritty biker aspect?
I can't say that I miss it, but there is definitely some part of that that's missing from the industry these days that allows a lot of the younger artists to come up in this industry with no respect for where the industry came from, the people that sacrificed to get it to where it is now, as well as they have no respect for the people that taught them. They'll just up and leave on a whim and open up a shop down the street like it's nothing. Back in the day, you would have got your hands smashed with a ball-peen hammer, or had your thumbs cut off with bolt cutters.
Oh,
that's the way the industry used to be. So most of these people in this room probably haven't been around long enough to have experienced.
I would say
industry
that
like
the majority of the tattooers in this room haven't been alive as long as you've been tattooing.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Or they were very young.
Yeah, they were still shitting mustard.
Is there any way you think that respect could be brought back into the tattoo community without necessarily violent things?
It's hard to say. I think we're living in the entitlement generation these days. A lot of the younger generation feels entitled, and they feel like they don't have to pay their dues and work their asses off, like the rest of us did. And it in my opinion anyway, it took me 15 years or more to get decent at tattooing. And I'm still working hard at it every day. We got guys that have been tattooing for a year and a half doing incredible work, so it all goes to their head and they think they're Billy Badass and open up a tattoo shop and have 16 apprentices working under them, and they don't even really hardly know how to run a tattoo shop and do tattoos fully yet.
Yeah. So back to your roots when you were starting. You got out of the attic.
Yeah, the shop that I was getting tattooed at was on the north side of Chicago, and I would hang out there after my mechanics job. I worked second shift from 3 till 11:30. I'd get to the tattoo shop at midnight, and they were there till the sun came up usually. So I'd hang out there and just watch and listen and pick up everything that I can. And I was there so much and so often that I got to the point where they let me answer the telephones and help out with clients and things like that. And then he started seeing some of the pieces I had done on Friends and offered me a job. And actually offered me a job 3 different times before I finally accepted and started working there part-time.
Why do you think you were hesitant to take the offer the first couple times?
Because I even then I didn't know that you could really make a living doing just tattoos. I was at the time making pretty good money.
Mechanic makes pretty good.
As a mechanic,
living.
I already bought my first house. Had a new vehicle to pay for and everything, and like I said, I didn't know you could make a living at it. So I started working part-time there in the late evenings after work during the week, and then every weekend. It was probably about 6 months or so I was doing that, and then he had asked me if I had any vacation time coming. And I had 2 weeks coming. I'd been at the job 4 years or whatever at the time. So I took 2 weeks off, and I worked 2 solid weeks while he took his family to Disney World. And I stayed busy and realized that, I can make a living doing this. So after my 2-week vacation, I went and put in my 2-week notice, and I've been tattooing full-time since.
Wow. That's amazing that you stayed so successful. Now, you are very versatile. You tattoo in all styles still. Most. You don't do new school, I don't think.
I have a pretty wide range of styles, from, more, color bomby stuff once in a while. A lot of realism, pinup girls, portraits.
So we see a lot of artists that tend to have a hyper focus, especially these days, to specialize in one thing and don't really do everything. Do you think it's important to be able to do all styles of tattooing?
Overall, I think it is. The industry, is going to continue to change and evolve, and eventually, maybe people won't be into getting portrait tattoos much anymore. So the guys that do nothing but that, maybe they'll have to start, picking up different kind of work that you know.
Do you enjoy tattooing in all different styles? Keep it interesting?
I do. It's I never really wanted to be pigeonholed into doing just one particular style. I like having more variety and having something different to do every day. It's more of a challenge. Some guys that specialize in certain things, all they got to do is go find one reference photo and trace it out, and they're good to go. As opposed to guys that do more elaborate tattoos where you need you got as much hours into research and drawing and planning as you do in the actual tattoo in the end.
You've got artists like Frank Sinatra that actually create whole backstories for the characters.
My stuff doesn't usually get too involved in backstory. It's usually based on the general description from the client, and I'll get a picture in my head immediately of where I think everything needs to go, and usually I'm within 95% of my initial image in my head from their description is usually the way that the piece actually ends up and evolves.
What are some of your favorite things to tattoo thematically? What really, lately, what have you been tattooing that you've been excited about?
I've got a couple back pieces in progress right now. One of them's on my girlfriend, the massage therapist over there, Misty. Hi, Misty. And there's another back piece as well that a client of mine, he's pretty successful guy. He's in his late 30s and owns a few bars in the Chicago suburbs and tons of rental properties and stuff. So he's always been having hassles with the cops and the IRS and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's a big theme piece, for him, kind of telling that whole story.
Oh, that's great.
Dealing with FBI and DEA and
all that stuff.
It's pretty crazy.
So, your shop, your Tattoo City. Mm-hmm. You've been there a while now. You moved to a new space?
Yeah, we've been in Lockport for 21 years now. 2 years ago, we relocated about 3.5 miles down the road from our original location that we were at for 19 years. But we're 2 years into the new building. Big, beautiful building, and I own the building, so it's
That's
definitely
nice. Not paying somebody else.
The landlord at my previous place turned out to be a big piece of shit, and the new place is doing great. Beautiful building. We got a nice parking lot. We've got a full-time art gallery called the Flower of Life Art Gallery that's within the building, and we run several group art shows throughout the year, different themes. We just opened. It was April 11th was opening show. We did a Frank Frazetta themed show.
Yeah, I saw some of those pieces coming through people's Instagram feeds as they were working on them.
Yeah, and
Frank Frazetta, he's an influence on you?
Oh, yeah, he's my biggest artistic influence. For those that don't know about Frank Frazetta, he's the most influential sci-fi fantasy artist of all time. He's the one that set the bar for everybody else. Nobody's been able to get to that level, and most artists in the sci-fi genre have emulated and outright copied his stuff time and time again. But he did a lot for the world of art and for the artists. Back when he was doing illustration for book covers and stuff, it used to be an artist would get hired to do a particular book cover. They might got paid a couple $100 for it. They gave the original to the publisher. Publisher did whatever they wanted with the original, and they didn't necessarily have rights to the stuff beyond that. But Frazetta's stuff became so in demand that he could name his price to these publishers. They just wanted his stuff because his book cover would ensure that a lousy book would sell 1 million copies just because of the cover alone.
I mean, I will still buy a lousy book if it's got a Frazetta cover on it, if I'm at the thrift store or whatever.
Right.
Don't care what's in it.
Yeah. But Frazetta, he had started demanding that he kept the originals and kept the future licensing rights to the art and everything like that. And after that, it became the norm for the artists.
For everybody to maintain the rights to their own imagery.
Exactly. So but he's been my biggest influence since I was a little kid. When I discovered his art, like doing Conan covers and stuff like that, I just fell in love with that, and that's what really got me really involved in art. Even before that, I was still a little kid, drawing Christmas card stuff and whatever. But I got heavily into sci-fi fantasy art and started emulating Frazetta's stuff, and it's the biggest reason why I'm sitting here talking to you right now, just because the influence of his art.
Have you gotten a chance to check out his museum at his house?
I've been there a couple times. I had the extreme fortune of meeting him and hanging out with him in his home studio at the back of his house. This is back about 2001 or so, I think. And really awesome guy. The whole family was nice, super humble. This guy is like on the highest pedestal in the art world, and has the ability to maintain the hugest ego in the world, but he didn't have any. Which was very refreshing. There's been other celebrity types that I've met in the past that I really liked, and you meet them and they just
ruins
big
everything.
Assholes, and
it's
just ruins you forever on it.
I've met a lot of musicians over my life, and now I just don't want to.
Right.
Now I'll just be a fan. I don't want to ruin it by actually talking to them.
Yeah, I've been there.
So the art galleries. Do you think that the fine art is important in tattooing, like tied together between art? Like, do you think there's a separation between tattoo and fine art? Do you think tattoo is a...
there's still definitely a separation between the two, but with the huge number of tattoo artists in the industry today that are doing art in other mediums, oil painting, sculpture, whatever it may be, digital art, I think it's helped to evolve the tattoo industry. Most artists that do delve into different mediums and stuff, I think, already realize that each medium helps the other. What you learn from doing some oil painting, you'll be able to translate some of that into your tattoo work, and then vice versa. You can keep bouncing stuff back and forth and evolve all your artistic mediums all at the same time. But I think just the fact that the tattoo industry has more real artists in it. Back when I started in 1990, the majority of the artists were just like bikers and sailors that could trace a line reasonably well in color. Within it.
They were like a technician, like a mechanic.
Right.
They knew how to use the tools.
They were tattooers as opposed to tattoo artists.
Right.
These days you have a bunch of college-educated, art-degreed artists that couldn't make a living in commercial art or whatever they specified in school. But then they realized that tattooers get to create all kinds of cool, crazy art all the time. They get paid reasonably well for it. They get appreciation from the customer every day that they work, as opposed to working for some say you're an animator at Disney. You're just stuck in some room animating the same character 5 million different times. And most of it's probably done on the computer now anyway. And if you're lucky, you get your paycheck on time, maybe a pat on the back once in a while for a good job. But in this industry,
not a truly fulfilling artistic.
Exactly.
Life.
So I think that's how a lot of the good artists end up in the tattoo industry. Like Sean Barber is one for instance. Incredible painter. Was painting for a lot of years, getting tattooed. Good friends with a lot of people in the industry. Got a lot of tattoos on him from Brian Bancroft and Paul Booth, and then everybody was, I think, kind of pushing him to get into tattooing to where he could make a more steady living at it and not have to work his ass off for the little bit of money you could sell a painting occasionally for him.
Yeah, I saw he had to paint like 25 portraits for a book about psychologists.
What was that?
He had to paint 25 portraits of psychologists that no one knew for a book. Like that kind of production paint work. I'm sure tattooing is much more satisfying.
Right. And definitely something to be said for all the portraits that you were talking about that he painted. I did see some of them, but to have your work on display somewhere like that permanently is kind of a cool thing. But probably not as fulfilling as an everyday tattoo career. Where you get hugs and gifts and appreciation and word of mouth, with people, so and so did my tattoo, and brings you more and more business, and it's a great industry. I'm very appreciative of everything that the tattoo industry has brought to my life.
So for someone that's looking to start tattooing, how do you recommend they go about it? And not specifically, but do you think an apprenticeship is important? Do you think art training is important?
Well, these days, first and foremost, I think you need to be a good artist. There's so many quality artists in the industry these days. If you're just some half-assed guy that, just because your mom thinks you draw cool stuff and she puts it on the refrigerator, doesn't mean you're going to make a great tattoo artist. So having a good art background, having a quality portfolio that you can present when you're going shop to shop looking for an apprenticeship is very important. Maybe getting some bloodborne pathogens training prior to even going looking for an apprenticeship shows your initiative and that you're serious about things and trying to take the right steps towards that goal. It's going to show a shop owner that you might have your shit together better than somebody that walks into your tattoo shop and flips through his iPhone showing you some pictures of stuff that he did. But an apprenticeship is definitely the route that I would recommend to anybody. And these days there's so many shops out there, so many people willing to take on apprentices. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you're picking a quality shop with good artists that are really qualified to be able to teach the trade to somebody.
And as an apprentice, you have to be prepared to work for free for a long time. Right?
Yeah,
dedicate the time, have another job to pay for.
Exactly. When I taught apprentices, it was generally 40 hours a week for 2 years, doing all the menial bullshit jobs, scrubbing the toilets, mopping the floors, drawing till your wrist wanted to fall off, and helping customers and learning all the ins and outs of a tattoo shop rather than just here's the tattoo machine, go at it. But there's so much more to the tattoo industry than just doing a tattoo on somebody. You need to have customer service skills. You need to have sales skills to be able to sell your work and talk people into doing the tattoo the right way and to fit and flow with the body the way that it should. You need to be kind of a mechanic and be able to keep your tools working right.
Yeah.
You need to be able to market yourself. You need to be able to be a decent photographer so you could take quality photos for your portfolio. There's so many different hats that you have to wear in the tattoo industry, but just the general running of a tattoo shop and how all that stuff operates. That's all things that you really need to learn through an apprenticeship or trial by fire being thrown into a shop. But a lot of guys go on the internet and watching YouTube videos and learn how to tattoo and
not the way to do it.
Yeah, well, it's I'm sure there's plenty of people that can get to a quality level starting like that. But it'd probably take you a lot longer to get to the point you're aiming for.
And you miss a lot of the important other aspects about running a shop, having a shop, and dealing with people and all that. You miss that.
Exactly.
Do you apprentice people now? Do you have an apprentice?
I do not currently, and at this point in my life, I don't know if I'll ever bother again. I've been burned far too many times by the people that I've brought into the tattoo industry. It's that whole lack of respect thing and the entitlement generation that I was talking about. What my experience has been, I've brought these people in, taught them a trade, treated them like family, loved them like they were family, appreciated everything that they did for the tattoo shop, and then just to get a phone call, so-and-so just came and picked up his stuff and told me to come check out the new tattoo shop he just opened 2 blocks down the street. That type of stuff. Or to find that the guy that you taught how to tattoo and employed for 8 years has been stealing from you the whole time. So I'm pretty soured on the whole apprentice thing these days. Like I said, I probably won't bother again. But my shop now is set up in a way where we have to have full-time front desk people because we've got private rooms. So it's not like a typical street front shop where everybody's all out in the open and they can see who's got a free hand for the telephone and can greet whoever walks in the door. Where with our old shop, apprentices kind of had the job of dealing with a lot of that stuff. Now that I have to pay a full-time front desk person, there's no need for that type of slave labor in a sense.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've been burned too many times, and
don't need the hassle.
I don't even want to deal with it anymore.
So, tell me a little bit about your shop. How many artists? Who are they?
Currently, we have 4 artists. We're looking for a 5th, so if anybody is interested in moving to the Chicago land area to tattoo at a quality shop, hit me up later. I'm in booth number 7 over there. But we've got 4 artists, including myself. One gentleman, his name is Chucho. He's been tattooing, I think, over 20 years now. Excellent artist, very well-rounded. He's got a degree from the American Academy of Art in Chicago. He's a phenomenal graffiti artist, mural painter, sculptor. The city of Joliet, which is in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, the town years ago commissioned a bunch of artists to do murals and sculptures all over the city at a lot of the public buildings like the libraries and schools and stuff, the parks. And he's one of the artists that was commissioned to do a lot of these things. So there's these beautiful murals scattered all around that he's done. But just really kick-ass artist, and really works hard. And
how long has he been with you?
He's been with me for 2 years now, and he actually he closed down the shop that he owned in Joliet, and him and one of his artists came in to work with me. So we combined the clientele of the 2 best shops in the area into one.
Made a super shop.
Yeah, so things have been going good. And he brought an artist named George Zabala. He's been tattooing for quite a few years now. Good quality, well-rounded guy. Super cool dude. And we've got a new artist that started with us recently named Alex Egan. Really motivated, hungry guy wanting to learn more, always creating art and drawing and painting and stuff in all his downtime. But yeah, we got really good, solid crew, and
just missing one more.
Yeah, just one more. It's difficult these days. Yeah, I've been putting stuff out there for looking for artists, and most of the applicants that I get either aren't the quality that we need. They're not the mentality of person that's going to fit with us, or they live in some foreign country somewhere and they're just looking for somebody to
get here.
Try to get them in the country, and I don't need to deal with those hassles at this point in my life either.
Yeah. So how do you generate your clientele? Do you have walk-ins? Is it just word of mouth? Do you use the internet? How do you drive people to your shop? How do they find you?
Overall, we do get a fair bit of walk-in clientele, but our artists are usually booked up weeks or months in advance. We've been around for over 20 years, so we've built up good quality base of clientele that's multi-generational within families. We've tattooed grandparents and grandkids and everybody in between. But the internet, I think, has been pretty huge. Having a good quality website that people can find in Google searches and stuff is very important. A lot of tattoo shops and tattoo artists rely on their Facebook page as their website, and that's a horrible excuse for it, because nobody's ever going to be able to find you except a couple thousand friends that you have. And even the way that Facebook is geared these days, that they funnel stuff down so much that you might have 5,000 followers on your page, but your stuff is only going to show up in 200 people's feeds.
Right.
So unless you're paying for it.
And it's going to go by as fast as the scroll goes by.
Exactly. So having a good dedicated website that's professionally built and maintained and updated on a regular basis goes a huge way. For anybody that needs websites, I don't recommend going with just some Joe Blow that knows how to build websites because he learned about it in high school or college. Because those people usually tend to not be very reliable. They just disappear, leaving you with a website hanging in cyberspace that you can't do anything with. I do know the guys from TattooNow.com build some incredible tattoo websites, and they've probably done over 200 of them now by this count, I would imagine. But my website LarryBrogan.com was built by them. But they do great quality work. They're always there for you. If there's any issues, they're on it immediately to try to take care of it. And they're just constantly keeping up with the current changing trends in the internet and Google, and and I know now Google has announced that if you don't have a smartphone compatible,
mobile friendly sites,
right, that there's hardly any chance that you're going to show up in any kind of Google search at that point.
If you're searching on your phone, if you don't have a mobile friendly website,
right,
the search is going to be driven towards mobile friendly.
Exactly.
Websites.
So, but TattooNow.com definitely does a great job with building websites. If anybody needs one, check them out.
You can ask me about it.
Yeah,
that's what I've got cards. So, what does your future hold? What do you? How are you going to keep going? You got 25 years in. You got 25 years more.
I'm sure hoping so. Health, another 25 healthy years for sure would be awesome. I'm aiming to live to be about 150.
Oh,
that's my goal.
I'd like to know your secrets sometime.
Yeah. Well, it's
150.
lot of good sex, good food, and a little bit of exercise. Hopefully, get me there.
So, do you regularly exercise? Do you stretch? How do you keep healthy? How do you keep your body healthy? Your arms?
I do a little bit of stretching. I've been trying to work into a regular yoga routine. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to stuff like that, so I got to really do it consistently for weeks at a time for it to really be ingrained. So I'm guilty of not, getting as much exercise as I really need to. My girlfriend, she's a yoga instructor, so she's helping me with all of that. I do get regular massages, which helps a lot for anybody, especially that sits all day doing computer work or anything. Getting a massage every couple of weeks or so, definitely make your life a lot better and less, more pain-free, I guess.
Do you experience pain? Do you have back pain and wrist pain from tattooing in strange positions for so long?
Most of the pain that I get is more in my neck and shoulder area, rather than a lot of guys will have lower back issues, but mine is more in the upper back. I get a lot of wrist and tendon in my stretching thumb especially gives me lots of problems. But it's just a matter of trying to stay healthy and exercise, do some stretching and stuff. Definitely helps a lot.
Have you modified the tools that you use at all? Do you use coil machines? Do you use lighter rotary machines?
I use a little. Most of my black and gray is done with the Cheyenne Hawk, so it's really super lightweight and easy to maneuver. But still, all my color and line work is all done with the coil machine still.
Was it a hard transition for you to put down a coil machine and pick up this crazy German high-tech rotary?
It is definitely, there's definitely a learning curve and some adjustments that come along with it. But a lot of guys in the industry these days that they work all rotary now.
Yeah.
They like the way that it works for them. They like that it's lightweight. It's not so noisy. There's not much in the way of adjustment with most of them. With a tattoo machine, you have to have a little bit of mechanical skills to keep it running properly. With the rotary, for the most part, it's plug it in, set your voltage and go. Yeah. But I'll probably always use coils for a lot of what I do. It's just my preference. It feels right. My coil machines, they have their own personality. They kind of get into a groove. They do exactly what I need them to do. A rotary machine, I think, is in my experience, they don't develop a personality like a coil machine does. They just do the same thing all day, which is great for a lot of artists. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But I like to think that I have more of a personal one-on-one relationship with my coil machines. And
And they kind of change over time and use?
Yeah, they definitely do. I use a set of machines on a daily basis that Rich T from Bickney Tattoo Supply built for me. They're cast iron machines, kick-ass, the most dependable, everyday workhorse type of machines that I've ever used. I got probably about 80 tattoo machines, and I've been pretty much using just his for, I don't know, maybe the last 8 years or so. But they just work so great. And my three original machines, 2 of them are shaders and 1 of them is a liner. And these things weren't originally set up like this, but they kind of got into sync so well with one another. I don't even have to touch the voltage on my power supply when I switch between these 3 machines.
Switch one to the other, and it does what you need it to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't set up originally like that. They just kind of morphed into all of that together. But that's what I'm talking about. Coil machines having a personality. Rotary machines, they just do one simple job. And coil machines, you have to befriend them and nurture them and take care of them, and hopefully in return they'll take care of you. Which mine, I've been fortunate enough, they've taken really great care of me.
Awesome. So I know that you have a seminar that you give, 101.
Yeah, 101 tattoo tips. Yeah.
Do you think? Obviously you do, but like seminars are important. Professional development is something that people should keep doing.
Oh, absolutely. I've been tattooing for 25 years, and I still regularly take seminars, especially like the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. I've taught seminars there, as well as taken numerous seminars. I think in the last 3 years or so, I've probably taken at least a dozen seminars myself. But you can never know too much. There's always something more to learn. The minute you think you know it all or know enough that you don't have to keep expanding your knowledge, maybe that's time to start thinking about retiring, because you'll be left in the dust from all these young badasses coming up that are doing such great work. But I've taken some seminars where I didn't necessarily learn anything because they were already doing all of what I've been doing all along. But at the same time, it's good reassurance that what I'm doing maybe is on the right track.
Sure.
But and then there's some seminars, there might be like one little nugget of information that was worth the $150 that I spent on the seminar alone.
Sure.
I definitely encourage artists of any level to continually try to expand on their education. If you haven't delved into painting, oils and acrylics, watercolors, what have you, maybe take a couple classes at the local community college, try to take some of the seminars that are regularly offered at different tattoo conventions these days. But always try to learn more and improve on your art, and it'll pay you back tenfold in the future.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of what we do is seminars, and so obviously I'm a little biased, but professional development I think is very important for someone's
Absolutely.
career. So you paint. What's your medium? What's your favorite?
Mostly oils. That's my preference. I do a little bit of acrylic here and there, pastels, pencil, markers once in a while. Dabbled in a little bit of sculpture, but overall I prefer oil painting. Oil painting is, it differs quite a bit from acrylic. Acrylic dries too fast for my taste, whereas oil, you could get in there and blend and, really make love to the paint in the canvas and just have such a great time moving paint around, and it's therapeutic. You can get into a really meditative state when it comes to, just focusing all your attention on that. Yeah, you can, in tattooing as well, kind of get into that meditative zone, but then you've got, all the extra stuff around you, the client talking to you and stuff, as opposed to just you and the canvas, where you could put like complete focus on, on what you're doing.
So how do you find time to tattoo all day and time for painting and stuff like that? Do you schedule yourself to have that kind of free time?
my life revolves around lists and deadlines. If it's say, hey, draw me up this, whenever you got time, it's never gonna get done.
Sure.
If somebody's got an appointment scheduled in my book, or if I've got an art show with a painting that's due with a deadline, that's and my stuff is always down to the wire, which like most artists are typically.
Yeah.
But I kind of do my best work under pressure of a deadline. And I know myself well enough that, I got this big tattoo project coming up in 2 days. I need to, get on it and get the drawing finished. But even, let's say, with my tattoo work, from the point of the initial consultation, I've already got the idea in my head. I've already digested what I need to do for the art. I may have already started hunting for reference images and stuff, weeks and months prior to actually doing the drawing. But I'll usually save the drawing for just prior to the tattoo, because occasionally you'll get somebody that'll cancel out on you last minute. So I don't want to have 30 hours invested into research and drawing for somebody's back piece, and then all of a sudden he bails last minute.
That leads me to a question about deposits. Do you take deposits? Do you think it's important to take a pretty substantial deposit?
Absolutely. And I teach about this in my seminar, as far as taking deposits. There's a lot of tattooers, they'll take a $20 deposit from somebody for an all-day sitting. Well, it's nothing for somebody to wake up with a hangover. Oh, fuck it, I'm not going to go for my tattoo, or I spent all my money at the titty bar or something.
Yeah.
So they'll just not show up, and you've already got however many hours invested in the drawing and research, and setting aside a certain amount of time in your day for that person, and they just don't show up. So you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs with this drawing on your desk that you can't do anything with. You got a whole $20 that you could maybe buy lunch with, and then you got to split probably half of it with the tattoo shop anyway.
Yeah.
So the way that I remedied that at my shop, we've got a $60 minimum. Just for little baby mama names, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But typically, our appointment policy is you need to leave a deposit. Usually, if it's like $60 to $100, they have to leave basically whatever the tattoo is going to cost. Anything over $100, they leave a $100 deposit. If it's a half a day sit, we require $250. If it's an all day sit or a multiple session piece, we'll take a $500 deposit. There's not many people that are going to just blow you off because they're too hungover to show up for their appointment and lose $500.
I know some artists are intimidated to ask for a big deposit because they don't want to be rude or something.
But that helps to separate the sincere people from the tire kickers, the people that are going to be more likely to blow you off on a $20 deposit. But they're going to have to pay for it anyway.
Exactly.
If you've got say a sleeve that you're going to have at least 40 hours into, $500 isn't anything.
Yeah, it's going to
but at least if they don't show up for their appointment, you got half of your day is kind of paid for. So at least you're getting something in lieu of your drawing time if they don't show up for it. And at my shop, people don't bat an eyelash at the big deposits because that's the way we've been doing it for years, and it's not an issue. But the people that I'm not going to give you a $250 deposit. The guy down the street only takes $20. Well, you probably blew that guy off down the street 3 times already, and you're only out $60. Big deal. But it definitely makes the shop run a lot smoother. We have far less cancellations, far less people just no shows, and it just keeps people more honest and sincere.
Sure. Yeah. Do you just do the same for conventions if you're booking tattoos at conventions?
Yeah. Typically, I'll.
It's pretty easy to get drunk at a convention and not show up to your tattoo appointment.
Right.
I've never done that, but
even at the tattoo shop, I do most of my booking through the internet. Like a pre-consultation, I'll call it, through the internet. If they're local to the Chicagoland area, I'll have them come out to the tattoo shop for an in-person consultation, where everything will be written out on the consultation sheet. Our deposits and appointment policy is written out where it specifically says that the deposits are non-refundable. that they are transferable one time, provided you give us a 72-hour notice. So 3 days, to give us enough time to rebook that time if need be.
If they get sick or
right. Yeah, we can cut some slack, with people depending on their situation. But you get that information on the consultation sheet, along with the information about what the tattoo is, the deposit, the date and time for the appointment. But what's important about it is you have this consultation sheet and you have their signature and date on it, agreeing to a non-refundable deposit and all of that. Where that comes into play is so most shops these days take credit cards.
Yeah.
So say somebody gives you a $500 deposit for a back piece, decides to not show up, and they put the deposit on their credit card. You tell them, sorry, you forfeit your deposit because you didn't show up for your appointment.
They cancel the charge.
Yeah, they'll call the credit card company and dispute the charge, saying that I never went and got tattooed. And then when the credit card company sends you a letter in the mail saying that this is being disputed, then you send them a copy of the consultation sheet with the customer's signature agreeing to a non-refundable deposit. Send them a copy of the artwork that you've drawn, any email correspondences or anything that show what was going on. Send that back to them. Usually you'll be able to keep the money. If you don't have that in writing, they're going to give the money back to the client 100% of the time.
So if you're a tattooer out there and you're not taking forms like this, start today.
So, but yeah, taking the big deposits has eliminated a lot of the no-shows at our shop, and keeps us having more sincere and honest clientele overall.
So do you think going to conventions is important to create a successful tattoo career? Do you think it's an important aspect, or do you think you can stay in your tattoo studio?
There's definitely a lot of tattoo artists out there that make a good, honest daily living, working as much as they want to without having the exposure of tattoo conventions and tattoo magazines and stuff. They get a good enough local clientele that they can earn a perfectly good living, I think. But the artists, I think, that really want to excel and get to the next level, I think, are the ones that are like the artists that are here coming and doing conventions. If you don't have the type of reputation and quality work that it takes to get into a more upper echelon show like this, which is generally an invite only, you have to be a really quality artist, and most of the artists here are fairly well known in the industry. But if you're not at that level yet, or you're so far down on the waiting list to get into the show, still come to the show. Bring clients that you have quality work that you can enter and maybe win an award for. Get your name in lights for a minute there. Maybe get a couple pictures published in a tattoo magazine.
Expose yourself to the rest of the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Submit your work to the tattoo magazines to try and get your name out there. But it definitely takes a lot of work. These days, a lot of people are just relying on Instagram and Facebook, which can get you in front of a lot of people. But a lot of my Instagram and Facebook followers are people from countries that I'm never planning on visiting, and isn't really going to amount to any money.
They're more casual fans of tattooing in general, as opposed to someone who's coming through this convention who's committed to actually wanting to get tattooed. They wouldn't have paid to come through the door. So. Just before we wrap up here, if you had one piece of advice to give to a tattooer trying to be successful, what would your one piece of advice be?
Keep your ego in check. That'll definitely go a long way. It'll earn you a lot more respect from your peers and the others in the industry if you don't let it all go to your head. I see a lot of artists these days that only been tattooing a few years, that their heads seem big enough to fill the entire room.
I meet them every day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think staying humble and just always striving to learn more, try to make your art better, try to be just a more friendly, loving person, and try to do the best you can for your clientele, do the best work that you can possibly muster up, and just always try to make it better.
Cool. Well, Larry, thank you for joining me up here.
Thank you for having me.
Where can everybody find you out in the world? Give us a rundown of your website, tattoo studio, all that stuff.
My tattoo shop is called Tattoo City. It's located in Lockport, Illinois, 30 minutes southwest of Chicago. The shop website is called TattooCitySkinArt.com. My personal website is LarryBrogan.com. I can be found, I'm not doing nearly as many conventions as I once did. I've done as many as 21 in a single year. Pretty busy time of my life, but it helped get me to the point that I'm at, and I'm very thankful for all of that. I think after this I have only one more convention planned for the year. It's in New Zealand, in New Plymouth in November.
Wow.
And I'll be teaching my seminar there as well.
Great. That'll be awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking with us, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Always good chatting with you. Everyone, Larry Brogan, thanks for listening to the interview. I'm Ben. Like I said, my show is Off the Map Live. We can be found at tattoonowtv.com. We also host bi-weekly podcasts that you can find on iTunes. We're on YouTube, and we're actually on local cable access stations all over the country. So check us out sometime. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. We're going to be talking with Tim Bohr and Hell City founder Dirk Morrison.
What is a webinar? It's your chance to up your game and improve yourself with new techniques in art, in business, and tattooing. Webinars are streaming professional development seminars taught by the masters of their craft that you can watch in the comfort of your home, your studio, or even on the go on your mobile device. If you have a stable internet connection, you can stream a webinar. Here at Tattoo Now, we continually produce high-quality video presentations from top artists and business people. Our catalog includes hours of education from greats like Guy Aitchison, Bob Tyrell, DJ Betts, Jeff Gogway, Russ Abbott, James Kern, Tommy Helm, Ian McCowan, Kelly Doty, Remmer Oriana, and more all the time. These professional artists share their years of experience to accelerate your path and help you become more successful. Fill up on high-octane brain fuel now with a Tattoo Now webinar. Do you want to bring your career to the next level? Then webinars from Tattoo Now can help you do that.